Hello, come on in, come on in. We've got a lot to talk about. Got a lot to talk about this issue. It's growing. This is a growing thing, and believe it or not, you may have not gone through it, but there's a lot of people that are going through it. They call it lavender marriage. So we're going to talk about that and just some things that people I don't know. I want to get other people's insight. I am April. What's up, my TCG fam? Come on into the live. Come on in. If we don't have a people that come in, I'm just not going to talk to myself today. So because it's supposed to be a conversation. This is something where I'll need like people's input. You know what I'm saying? So come on in if you're coming in. If you see it, come on in. As you come in, click the like button. But come on in. I want to definitely talk about this. This it's some stuff coming out about this situation. And I think it needs to be talked about. I think that men need to know, gay men anyway. I think they need to know, or even bisexual men. I think that's what it's called, heterosexual. I think that people need to stop being afraid because you're really hurting other people. Like, come on. So let's come on in. Come on in. I'm just going to wait and hopefully we get some people in here so we can have a conversation about it. If not, then I'll try to do it another time. But come on in. I'm definitely going to go ahead and try it this time. Gonna try it. I didn't even know it was called such a thing. It's called lavender marriage. That is a marriage where a heterosexual man, a gay man, marries a woman with his sexuality being discreet. So he doesn't tell her or anyone else that he's heterosexual. Wait, is it not heterosexual? Oh, I got him mixed up. That he's gay. Okay. That he's gay. Okay. Let's talk about it. Now, being in the area that I live, I do know I know one personally. I know a female that is, she's in a marriage like that. And he was keeping it a secret at first, but it did come out and she's still married. They're still married. So, yep. So come on in. Let's see if anybody comes in. I don't think anybody's come in yet. As you come in, click the like button. And I'm not talking about the situations where, say, a woman agrees to marry a gay man. I'm not talking about that because she knows that he's that way. I'm talking about the ones that are hiding what they are and they marry someone. That's what I'm talking about. It's a big difference. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I don't think anybody's getting notification or anything. That's what I. And so what's happening is no one's getting any notification. No one is. So that's why. Yeah. If we don't get a crowd in here, I really want to save this is so important to discuss, and I want to save this conversation. Um, yeah, it's some of you will be really surprised by the findings that I found out, and then some of you may not. So okay, come on in. We've got so much to talk about. Come on in, everybody. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Okay, come on in. We've got so much to talk about. Come on in, come on in, everybody. Okay, so our conversation is about just what the title says 20% of gay men are married to women. Is that surprising to anyone? Is that surprising? That's just what it is. That's what it is. And I want to go over this conversation. This is actually occurring. That's crazy to me. That's really crazy. So, yeah. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Okay, come on in. We've got so much to talk about. Come on in, come on in. Okay, as you come in, like the video. As you come in, like the video. Alright, just gonna wait for a few more people to come in. So let's talk about this. So, as I was saying the other day, there's a friend of mine that I know, and she is married. She's been married for a very long time, and she found out that her husband was cheating with a man. She decided to stay in the marriage. That was her choice. She decided to stay in the marriage. Now, would you stay in the marriage? if you were in that situation, if you found out, which, everybody have their own opinion. I'm not saying anything is wrong with being gay. I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about when these guys are gay men marry a woman under the impression, giving her the impression that he's not gay. That's what I'm referring to. So yeah, there's 20%. Can you believe that? 20% of, that's so hard to believe. For me, that was so surprising. It's a lot of men. That's a lot of people. So it's that many men that are afraid to come out. That's crazy. So yeah, that's what they call it. Lavender marriage is what they call it. Lavender marriage. I didn't even know there was a name for it, but yes, they call it lavender marriage. All right, so me, I'm gonna tell you my opinion. I don't think any woman would want to be in that situation. So that's number one. I don't think no woman would want to be in that situation. Um, Now there are situations that I've heard where people have, hey, been, they've gone into, what is this? What was that? They've gone into like a contract type of thing where the woman is knowing the situation and she just is willing to be the what they call beard. So I have heard of that. I haven't. I mean, just I've only heard of it. I don't know anyone that's in that type of situation. But like my friend, does isn't she considered a beard? Isn't she considered that? Knowing that the situation. So yeah, I guess she's willing to be a beard in a lavender marriage. Can you believe they have a name for it? That's crazy. That's so hard to believe. Has anybody um there is a channel, Atlanta Street Interviews, that I've been watching for probably about a year and a half. And for those of you who may not be familiar, this is where there's Marcus is the channel owner. And so he goes around interviewing homeless people in Atlanta. And like he runs across here and there he runs across people where it's like something special about these people. And what he does is he kind of follows their story, right? So he follows their story. And so there's a couple. Okay, so if anybody's been following Atlanta Street Interviews, you know about a guy named Josias. That was a very popular guy. He doesn't live in Atlanta now, from my understanding. Anyway, so his story was just, Marcus followed him for a very long time until he actually relocated. So come to find out that guy was very unique. But come to find out there is a one of his girlfriends that were interviewed as well. At the time was his girlfriend. They're no longer together. Ileana. And she had a baby. The baby, Marcus interviewed her and in the baby, and now she's showing into what they say is a Muslim marriage to with this guy named Tone. So Marcus, from my understanding, I think he thinks, and a lot of people think, and I think it as well. Well, I don't think it. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of, sometimes I think it when I see the baby, I'm like, dang, the baby looks like Josiah's. But then sometimes I'm like, nah. But so he's thinking that the baby is Josiah's baby. The current, um I guess you would call it common law marriage. I don't know. They weren't married in the regular legal type of way. But Tone, he's already had a DNA test and he's not the father. So that's where that is. Okay, so anyway, so Marcus has been interviewing these guys for I don't know, maybe the last 6 months or so, maybe longer than that. But I mean together as a couple. And oh my god, it's so much that's happened with them. So this past probably 2 weeks ago, um, Tone contacted Marcus. No, actually, Marcus was on a live. So he was on a live, and people were writing in the chat saying, Tone was stabbed. Ileana stabbed Tone. It was crazy. So Marcus was like, "What? No way!" So come to find out, it actually did happen. So of course he went to Tone to see what was going on, and Tone said it was a mistake. He had fallen on the knife, and she had a knife, and she was like having some sort of episode because she has mental issues, and she was like having some type of mental breakdown. So she was threatening with a knife, but from what he stated, it wasn't like an on like she didn't do it on purpose, like try to hurt him. So that was crazy enough. That was crazy. Just that part alone was crazy. Okay, well, when Marcus was in, as Marcus, he's been interviewing because he's been like speaking to Ileana because Ileana is in jail. So he's been speaking to Ileana from jail, and then he's been trying to help Tone like get the bail money for Ileana and all this stuff. Okay, so she has a court date coming up soon. Anyway, in the midst of all this, there has been, from my understanding, two people that have come out and contacted Marcus saying that Tone is, you know, queer or whatever. I guess you would call it that. So, okay, so this was crazy, surprising. Like if you see the guy, if you saw his mannerism, he was kind of, he did seem like he was holding something back. I could, he was holding something back, but it just seemed like he was one of those introverts. That's what it seemed like to me. I thought he was just an introvert. Not everybody likes to be, talking, but to people. But when this was just crazy. This when this stuff came out. Okay, so all right, so fast forwarding to now where everything is. So Marcus was emailed the proof, okay, all the receipts. This guy had like created a website, not a website, but he had created a page, okay, an account on this like gay website. And Marcus actually showed the last interview. He did these last two interviews with Tone. Like the first one, he actually showed the pictures. He showed the pictures that were sent to him. He showed um the website. I mean the page on the website, the profile picture, what Tone was calling himself. He was in drag in the pictures. I mean, like drag, like wig and, skirt and, oh my goodness. So when Marcus first approached him about it, he was like, no, nah, that's not true. People making stuff up. That's not true. But then when Marcus starts showing him the receipts, the pictures, and showing him, okay, this we got some proof. So the guy said, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he says um, that he has multiple personalities. Sorry, that is so. It was crazy. So he said he has multiple personalities, and he said that is so. First, he said it's a one of his personalities called Nia. And he said Nia. So Marcus asked him, well, who is Nia? What is, this person? He said, oh, now he didn't see all the receipts Marcus had. He only saw some pictures at this point. So he was like, Nia is a 13-year-old. Okay, so Marcus was like, 13-year-old. No, not with what the messages say here. And then the website page, his page in the website, he was not dressed as a female. He was dressed as himself, his picture and everything. And he called himself, I think, DL Thug. Download Thug, right? So he still said, "Oh yeah, that was just it. It was just, it. Honestly, to me, it didn't make sense. What his excuses for all that. He just really was going around and around the truth. I don't know what his truth is, but he was going around and around the truth. It did not make sense. It did not make sense. Which that's his prerogative. Him and Ileana, because that's his Muslim wife, whatever you call it. So that's that situation. But that leads back to this topic about this lavender marriage. And he said, it's what he said. He said that Ileana knows about Nia, this crossdresser. I am never, you know what? I think in all the stories, that I've ever heard, all the movies I've seen, this is the first time that I heard someone give that excuse, saying it's a oh, they have multiple personalities. Ooh, is that what people gonna start saying? Oh, that wasn't me. That was my other personality. you know, I guess technically it is another personality because this is who you are right now, and then you put on your wig and skirt and all this stuff. And I guess people can say, that really is another personality. But no, don't try to pull that one over. Don't try to say don't start men don't need to start using that as an excuse. Don't do it. Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And that's just crazy. I mean, who would ever say that? Oh, it's another personality. I suffer from multiple personalities. Now, I don't know his situation. I don't know about his personal, mental issues or anything like that, but that just sounds like a crock of crap. It sounds crazy. That excuse was crazy. It sounds crazy. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's crazy. Ooh, that is crazy. So, yeah, so I guess that's going to be the new thing. If a person is caught, they're going to say, "Oh, that wasn't me. That was my other personality." Right? Okay. So, that's crazy. And that's crazy. And let me tell you something to females. This is what Steve Harvey said this. He said this about um long time ago, years and years ago on the radio. He said if your husband is under 60 years old and he is not having sex, coming home wanting sex from you, then he's getting it from someone else if he's under 60. So it is just it's just human nature to want a you know a person. It's just natural. It's natural. So, and he said under 60. So if you are one of those, because that's what happened to my friend. Like she noticed that's why she started, because she was a very secure person. She's very attractive, very secure person. And she started to see those signs. That was the first thing. Like she would, come home. Like when you're in a relationship and it starts off where the sex drive is way up here and then it just like disappears, like something's wrong, right? And if you're still the same, you still look good, you still take care of yourself, you know it's going to make you wonder what's going on. So that's what happened with her. um First she thought it was herself, so she was like working out like 4 hours, she was just doing extreme things. Okay, well, she started. No, there was a phone call that she got, and she felt a little weird about the phone call. So she started being nosy, and that's how she found out. But what was my thought? So, yeah. So the point was, if your man is under 60 and he is not wanting you, and y'all were like, y'all sex drive was way up here, and then it's all of a sudden it's like almost absolute nothing, he's getting it from somewhere else. So sorry to bust people's bubble, or put some insecurity in your heart if you are in that situation. But you need to be mindful of what's going on in your situation, because honestly, this is the thing with me. I don't like I the part that bothers me is that you're not giving, when you go into a marriage, right? And you're presenting yourself as this, when really in the back of your mind you're something else. Number one, that's fraud. So the person is not marrying who she thinks she's marrying. You know what I'm saying? It's fraud. She's marrying somebody that doesn't even exist. You understand what I'm saying? So I can't stand that. I think that's very unfair, and it's selfish, and it's just no excuse for it. I think that, it's okay if you want to keep your secret. That's fine too. You don't want to go through um, public scrutiny and all that kind of stuff. That's absolutely fine. If you want to keep a secret, until you're comfortable. If you're never comfortable, that's fine. But don't go getting married and, under false pretenses. Don't do that. So I disagree with that. So yeah, there are 20% of gay men that are out here married to women. It's called lavender marriage. So that's that, like, you know, That's crazy. And let me tell you, okay, the reason why what brought this on, this thought process, and start, investigating and all this stuff, is because this situation with Royce and Dwight Howard. That's what had me start to like look into stuff, because I was like, wait, and they're not married. They never were married, but they have a child. If from my understanding, she's baby mama number one, and they have a 17-year-old. But so much stuff, like I don't know if anybody's watched her or watching her. She has come out all of a sudden, Dwight Howard is engaged to the female rapper. Anyway, so people thinking that she's just coming out throwing this tantrum, like coming out making stuff up about Dwight Howard because she's jealous because he's getting married to this female and blah blah. But lo and behold, she says that she's been under some sort of like cease and desist or gag order, where she could not speak of him. Like back in the day when Love and Hip Hop first came out, Royce was one of the people on Love and Hip Hop. And when she was first on the show, she was like throwing Dwight Howard's name. Oh, he's not doing what he's supposed to do for his child. He's like, she was just like kind of bashing him. And during the show, he actually had sent his lawyer sent her a cease and desist. So he put a gag order on her. She could not speak of his name publicly. She could not speak on his name. And shortly after that, she was released from that show. Or she left the show, I don't know. But she wasn't on the show anymore. So, not Love and Hip Hop, sorry. Love Basketball Wives. That's what I mean. Basketball Wives, yeah. So so now she says that there's like a new agreement in place, and she says that that gag order is no longer in effect. So she's just been letting it out all the years of having to hold her tongue, bite her tongue. Like she is letting it out. She's been talking about a lot of stuff. She's been talking about, like, we have always, we've heard a lot of stuff about Dwight Howard. We even saw that little recording, and I'll show it to you. But we saw that recording with Dwight Howard, touching the player inappropriately when he was sitting down. We saw that with our own eyes. I don't remember if he responded to that, or I don't know what he said. If it was, I don't know, I don't know. Excuse my background. I tried to do the best I can, but um, and we've heard rumors over the years. We have heard many rumors about Dwight Howard being gay. That's just a fact. We have heard it, and so, but I mean, it's been like I think a few years ago there was like a transsexual that came out and said, he's with me or whatever. So it's been a lot of stuff. And Dwight Howard just, he doesn't really speak on it. He doesn't speak on it. So people just like move on. But Royce is not letting people move on. Like she is saying some crazy, go look at her Instagram, Royce Reed. She is coming out with some crazy stories about what happened all these years. And the stuff that this man is into, and allegedly Kevin Wesley, the man that has two wives, who I looked so highly of. He's supposed now. Kevin Wesley has admitted that he is a friend of Dwight Howard's, a close friend. But she's saying that he was in on this stuff, and it's some story about he was. It was one night where she was. It was during COVID, and she was. Dwight wanted her and the son to come up to his house, which is I think here in Georgia, Swanee, Georgia. But he wanted them to come up to his house for quarantine. And when she was there, like she's saying a lot of stuff that went on. Kevin Wesley was there allegedly, and she has a witness, some other people, a female and another male. They have come out online as well saying they were there and their take. Like the guy said, if I'm not mistaken, that allegedly Kevin Wesley. Anyway, you have to watch that because I don't want to be, you know, you have to. I don't know. The only thing I've seen of Kevin Wesley is some, his reaction channel, I think. And I've always looked up to this man. I think he's, even though he has two wives, I'm not into the, multiple wife type of thing, but I always looked up to this guy. But that is that's some crazy that stuff. And I don't put anything past anybody. Like I'm one of those people, like I just don't think things are impossible. I don't do that. You have to really look into things. And I think that if you listen to what she's saying, Royce Reed, if you listen to what she's saying and look at what we've seen with our own eyes, there's allegedly probably some truth to what she's saying. And then at the same time, it seems like, there she may be exaggerating a little bit too. You know, I think in my opinion, it seems like that night that she's talking about, she's saying it's like through the whole situation, she's like, and I was sleeping in the guest house, and I was sleeping in the guest house. Like, I think that she probably had something to do with like the alleged drugs that she's talking about. Anyway, I'm not going there, but yeah. So I think that there's some truth to what she's saying, and I think that she just, exaggerating a little bit. I think she plays a role in being wrong with her child being in that type of situation. That's what I think. That's my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any facts about that night and all that stuff. But because of all of this, like because of how many men are in relationships, I mean, married, who are gay, I just don't put it. Hey, you just never know. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. So you gotta really, and let me tell you something. Like I'm one of those people. I analyze. Okay, so I like I pay attention to stuff. I pay attention to probably stuff more things than other people, like details. You know what I'm saying? I pay attention to details, and something that I like, I can kind of tell if a guy, and I'm not saying a guy that grew up around his mom, like who didn't grow up with a dad or whatever around, like I'm not saying that that guy is gay, but you can tell, if you can kind of tell guys that grew up around women, you know what I'm saying, versus guys that grew up in the street versus guys that grew up with the two-parent household. You can kind of, you can, if you pay attention, you can see the different personalities. You know what I'm saying? If you just listen to the words that they use, listen to how they say the words, listen to the stuff that they talk about, listen, just pay attention, and you can tell. Like there's here in the South, I noticed that a lot of men that I've met, they and they're not gay, but they have a, and I correct them because I just don't understand. I don't understand why they do this, but like I don't like to see men talk about women. I just don't think that's manly. Men don't see women like, I just men look at women as a woman. They don't see a woman as, oh, you're so ugly. They don't see that. You know what I'm saying? But when a man is talking about like
I know if she's wearing those blue shoes with that yellow skirt, she is. Look at how tacky she is, man. Ha! Like that to me, that those are men that probably grew up around females because men just don't think about stuff like that, right? Men just don't pay attention to that. When they're looking at a woman, they just don't pay attention to that. They could care less what kind of, you know what I'm saying? What colors you're wearing and all that stuff. They just don't pay attention to that. That's why a lot of manly men, when they say, "Oh, I don't care about that," when they say that, they mean that. They're for real. It's men out here. We do a lot of stuff. Women do a lot of things for our own selves and for other women. We do things for other women because a manly man could care less about certain things. Like for real. I mean, if he's taking you out, he wants you to look pretty. You know what I'm saying? But no, he's not going to be all picky and, oh, you got to, wear your long hair. No, not a manly man. Mm-mm. A manly man wants you to be happy. He wants you to feel pretty. He wants you to be you. That's it. He just wants you to be you. But now if you have one of those men that grew up around, his mom just hung around his mom a little too much, or his aunts, or, whatever, you're going to find yourself in a relationship where it almost feels like a competition for real between you and him. Like, when is the last time you got your eyebrows art? You get it? I don't want a man that's paying attention to my eyebrows. I really don't. That's to me, that's just not manly, you know? But like I said, now, for those of you who may have men like that, I'm not saying that they're gay. I'm just saying they have like woman tendencies to be paying attention to those details of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Only women pay attention to stuff like that. So, yeah. So that's what's going on with in my mind. I've been just listening to Royce and this stuff with Dwight Howard and analyzing the area, you know, here in Georgia. And I'm like, I've even been looking, like, since I've learned about this lavender marriage thing, like um I've been looking at other couples and just pay attention. You can see, like, like, let me tell you something. I went to this person's house the other night, and when I pulled up, their grandfather was pulling up, had just pulled up before me. Their grandfather and their grandmother. Okay, so the grandfather, a really old man, he got out of his truck, he walked around, okay, he walked around, and she was older, his wife, and he was like helping her out the truck. You know what I'm saying? And that is I think, like, that's those things I pay attention to because I think that those men they're very, I think they're becoming rare. They're becoming rare. They're becoming rare. Men just don't pay attention to stuff like that anymore. And I think it's because it's too many broken homes. You know what I'm saying? They don't have like male figures around, you know what I'm saying? So I think they're just off the chain, and they're not learning how to be with a woman. They're paying attention to the wrong part. You know what I'm saying? Because of who they're around. So if you're around women and women pay attention to other women, women look at other women's hair, women look at other women's eyebrows, women look at other women's weight. You know what I'm saying? We put our pressure on our own selves. So if we do that, if we have men that are hanging around us too much, sons or whatever, like they're thinking that that's what you look at. You get it? You know what I'm saying? That's not what a man should be, anyway. So, and I'm not saying, a man can have a type of, I'm not talking about that, but I mean, like I was dating this guy a long time ago, and I was, I liked him, and I was like, dang, even when we broke up, I was like, I was looking for someone like him, and I'm gonna tell you why. This guy was so in particular, like he kept me on my toes. Like I'm talking about working out. I mean, this guy, anything that was out of place, when we would go out, anything that was out of place, he would be like, "Oh no, that doesn't match." You know what I'm saying? He was very like, he kept me on my toes. Like I had to come correct. And I thought that was good because I was like, okay, well, shoot, being with a person like this, I'm never gonna get lazy, with myself. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was thinking. I was like, I'm never gonna get lazy. I'm always gonna look good because I have to be on my P's and Q's. But when I moved on and I had someone who didn't pay attention to none of that. At first I was like, dang, why aren't they paying attention to me? You know what I'm saying? I was like, they don't, I could wear anything. Why aren't they paying attention to those details? Right. And I was like, dang, are they into me? But then as time went on, I was like, I really appreciate the man that is going to accept me for who I am. You know what I'm saying? I just appreciate the manlier man versus the man that's um, sort of like in competition with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want, and I'm not saying, let me not say competition because I like for men to take care of themselves. I like for them to, groom themselves and look good and, make sure that their hands are lotion, all that good stuff, you know, so I'm not saying a man have to be rugged. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like all into what you got going on. That's what I'm saying. So that's a little overboard when when he's all up into what you got going on. How's your hair and all this stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So like say if you come out with some orange and blue hair and your man says, oh, okay. And you're like, how do you think I look? If you like it, it's loud, but if you like it, it's fine. You see what I'm saying? Now, or then you could have this man, if you come out with the orange and blue hair, say you don't wear no colored hair, you come out with orange and blue hair, and the man says, I'm not going anywhere with you looking like that. You need to change that color hair. Then that's that man that's all up in too much into what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? Versus the man that, and I don't know, I think I've gone way off topic. I'm not trying to bash any type of man, but I mean, there are different types of men. That's just a fact. And those types of men that are all up into what you got going on, those are the men that possibly are the DL ones. Some of them, those are the ones that's probably, in my opinion, that's probably going to come out being the DL. That's what I think because they're paying too much attention to the woman. You know what I'm saying? What do y'all think about that? I don't know. I think you just have to really pay attention and be mindful of what's going on in your bedroom and all that. Cause yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. So when this stuff comes out about oh, and then let me tell you what, okay, so Kevin Wesley, now I'm back on that, but Kevin Wesley, he actually called Dwight Howard.
he did like he played the record. He recorded the phone call. He played the call online on his channel, and he said he told Dwight Howard, um, "Man, do you know what's going on?" And Dwight Howard's like, "I don't care. Just don't pay attention. Don't go back and forth with those people." So Kevin Wesley was like, "What? No, if you're not going to, pay attention and um, say something about this, if you're not, I'm just gonna have to just um, remove myself from our friendship or whatever." So Dwight Howard was like, um, Dwight said, "I'll delete it." Kevin West, he said, "Delete what?" And Dwight said, "I'll delete your phone number." But it's at first it was like, "I'll delete it." It was like, I was thinking, delete, you know what I'm saying? Delete some kind of footage or something, right? Anyway, so that's how they ended that conversation. So now I don't know the time frame or the timeline on this stuff, but the next day or the few days after is when Royce went on her Instagram, and she's now been served with a cease and desist from Dwight Howard's attorney. So she's now been served with a cease and desist. Well, that just lit more fire under Royce. This time she is not shutting up. And she said it. She said this time, she said she has a lawyer ready, waiting, and she threatened him more. She was like, "You want to come after me? Because I got more. Come on." Like, she's like, "Okay, you kept me quiet for all this time. It's my time to speak." That's how you know what I'm saying? So she is a bulldog. You know what I mean? Imagine if you've been kept quiet about something. You've been made to keep quiet, not by choice, but you've been forced to keep quiet about something that you are passionate about, that you have strong feelings about, especially if it involves your child, right? Imagine you've been kept forced to keep quiet about it for 10 years or more. And then you finally can speak about it. You know what I'm saying? That's like, you're going to just have a motor mouth. You know what I'm saying? You really gonna speak it. And I mean, she's done this within probably, it seems like a 2-week period. She's done like, oh, this part one, part two. I mean, she gives detail. It's like she's been waiting all this time to let this out. For real. It's crazy, the stuff that she's saying. It's like, wow. And nobody's really, it's unbelievable. So I'm just waiting to see what's going to come out of um, this cease and desist. I want to see how that's going to be handled. I want to see because Kevin Wesley at first was not worried about it either. He was like, "Oh, but after the other witnesses came out and saying this stuff about him, about he was buying fruit and acting whatever, offering fruit and whatever, um, he was like, "Oh, heck no. This is my name." Because he has a family to take care of. And he was like, "I have to protect my name." So that's the situation with him, but that's some crazy stuff. Yep. And then there are the women that know that they're what's called beards. You know what the beard is? That's the women that are in the marriages with gay men, and they know that the man is gay, and they know what they are. Well, some women can be beards and don't know that they're beards. But some women know that they are. And it's like an arrangement type of thing. Some women just say, "Okay, it's for whatever type of convenience, the lifestyle or something, wanting a certain lifestyle or whatever." I don't know. But yeah, that's what's going on. And then, we got Fanny. Now, well, this is moving on to a whole different topic, but we have Fanny trying to appeal the Supreme Court's decision on
making her provide that evidence. That's what it is, evidence. She said she calls it information. They say information, but so she's really trying to get out of that trouble that's about to happen. Because she's been removed from the Trump's case, but I think she's trying to avoid so she filed an appeal, but I don't think she filed an appeal for the sake of trying to be back on Trump's case, because I think she knows what she and Nathan Wade did was just crazy. It was unethical, period. It may not have been illegal. Well, handling federal funds falsely or whatever, that's illegal, but like the affair and all that stuff, that was just unethical. So I think she knows that that wasn't right, but I think she filed an appeal to avoid. She's trying to make sure that they're not trying to turn around and prosecute her for doing something fraudulent, like misappropriation of the funds, federal funds, taxpayers' money, and all that stuff. So that's something that I've been following as well. And let me get me something to drink. I'm thirsty, so I'm just going to turn off my camera for just a moment. Ooh, firecrackers still outside. That scared me. I'm going to turn off my camera for just a moment. I'll be right back. I can turn on this thing here. Let's see. No, not that. I'm getting it together, people. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Something like this, maybe. What out? Come on. Come on. Let's see. Turn off this. Well, how do I turn it off? Oh, there it is. No. We didn't need to do that. Oops. What have I done? Well, I don't know how to get this off, so, but it's okay. So yeah, so that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So yep. But can you imagine 20%? To me, that's a lot. Maybe to a lot of people, that's not a lot, but I think that's a lot, right? Mm-mm. I think that men who are, I think gay men needs to just be honest or just don't get married. That's too much. No, that's too much. That's selfish. And I mean, if you feel like you want a beard, then just find you a beard. Shoot, it's a lot of women that'll marry if marry you if you if you're honest and take care of them, whatever. There's a lot of women that'll do that. I don't know. I don't know. It might not even be a lot of women that'll do that. But I can imagine that's probably hard for a man to even approach a woman in that situation. You know what I'm saying? With that, like, I'm gay, but I really want to get married because I want to show my family that I'm not gay. And you know what I'm saying? That's probably a crazy conversation to have with somebody. So I just don't feel like you should get married if you're not being open, about your situation. And then, there are men who are bisexual and the female knows that and they still get married. And that's again, if the other person knows of your sexuality, then that's y'all's business, right? That's y'all's business. But if a person does not know about your sexuality, that is not right to marry them. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about that? Yeah, yeah. And then to have a name for it and nobody even know. I've never heard of lavender marriage. Has anybody heard of that? Lavender marriage? Ooh, alrighty then. Everything has a name, everything, they just times are different. So what does everybody think about Caleb Bumpus? And some you all may not even know who I'm talking about. But for those of you who followed the Young Thug trial, you know who I'm talking about. What do y'all think about that whole situation with Caleb Bumpus marrying Shannon during the trial? That is crazy. And that's not crazy because the trial itself was crazy, but that was unbelievable. I did not believe it. I was like, they're making that up. That's a rumor. That's the most dumb rumor. I was like, that's a dumb rumor. They're making that up. And who would even think that people would believe such a thing? And when she came out, and the way I found out that it was true was she was on live and she was getting ready to go out one night. She was on live and somebody was doing her makeup. And it was another lady there beside her in her home. Okay, she was at home. And so she had two women that was on her panel they were all talking. And so one of the women said, or somebody in the chat asked Kayla about, I think, Shannon's mom. They were like, well, how does Shannon's mom feel about Boba or something? I can't remember exactly. But anyway, this lady in the background said, I told him something like that. Okay. And then the ladies on the panel were like, right? So so nobody said anything, but then Kayla said, Mom, she called the lady mom. So that's when everybody they had to let it out. So one of the ladies that was on the panel, she was like, oh, let me grab a drink. I need a drink. And she was like, that's how I found out. It was just, but otherwise, I would not have believed that until someone said that was true, until either one of those people. So yeah, they're actually together now and everything. Like, well, they're married. So it's like old news now, but it's still funny. It's so crazy and funny. And then I've been following Woody and his little like online life over the internet. He's like Mr. Popular from this trial. Because I didn't know who Woody was. Woody. I didn't know who he was until the trial. I did not know who he was. I'm sure a lot of people did not know who he was. So yeah, he's become a little famous person. And then Young Thug can't. Oh my goodness, he just. Mm-mm. I wonder what they've done with his items, all his stuff that they confiscated. Fulton County stole it. They stole it, and they're not giving it back. I'm sure, not giving it back. Right? Yeah, Fulton County's not giving it back. They steal, and they're so bold, right? Law enforcement in Fulton County is so bold. Like they just do things right in the open, right in your face. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me one night. So this was a long time ago when they had like payphones still, like on the corners and stuff. So, okay, I did not have a cell phone. Matter of fact, this is during the time that we had pagers, the little beeping pagers. So, so I was driving down a street, and I think it was more like over near the College Park area. So I was driving down this road, and I got a text, not a text, but I got a beep, is what they called it. I got a page, and I saw the number. So I was like, okay, let me call this number back. So I pulled over. It was a like a liquor store, and it was a big parking lot. And then there was another store next to the liquor store. The other store was closed. Liquor store was open. But in front of that, at the edge of the parking lot near the street, there was a payphone. So I pulled over by the payphone, and I was calling the number back. So I called the number back, and then I think I left that payphone's number telling the person to call me back at that number. So I'm sitting in my car with the window down, just waiting for this call back. And this Asian lady comes out the liquor store. She did not say, what are you doing? She did not say, she just came out like with her finger in my window. Okay, I had my window down, and she was like, you trash. She called me trash. She was like, you trash, you get out of here, and all this stuff. Man, my feelings were so hurt. I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt that she called me all those names. It was like, calling me trash and all this stuff. So she was like, I'm going to call the police. So I call the police. I call the police myself. So no, I don't think I called the police. No, I think she called the police. I don't know who called the police. No, I called the police. Yeah, I called the police. So the police got there. Okay. This is in Fulton County. The police got there,
And he said, first I think, well, he asked me what happened, and he went in there and talked to her. He came out back out to me, and he started asking me these questions. He said, I said, she can just get away with insulting me like that, blah blah blah, you know. Okay, this man said, I'm not kidding. This is what he said. This is true story. This is what happened. He said, he said, when she put her finger in your window, he said, did she touch you on the head? I said, no. I didn't, okay, I didn't know where he was what he was doing, but he said, did she touch you on the head? I said, no. He said, when she put her finger here, he said, did she touch the car? I said, no. He said, did she touch your seatbelt? Like he was trying to get me to say yes. That's what I think. He was trying to get me to say yes to any one of those things he was asking me. Then at the end, after he asked me all these touching questions, he said, if you would have said yes to any of those questions, he said, I could have gone in there and arrested her. That's what he said. He said, I could have gone in there and arrested her. So I was like, okay, you know, this man said, I'm not, this is what the police officer told me. Fulton County, this is what he said. I hope I'm not being a rat. Well, I'm not saying who, I don't have his name or anything. Anyway, this man said, what's by the he said, what's by this store? And I was like, the other store? He was like, no. He said, what is that over there? I said, that's the interstate. He said, right. He said, there's a ramp. You get on the interstate right there. It was like right there too. He said, this is what he said. He said, what I would do. This is what this man said. He said, what I would do. He said, when this store closes, he told me to I'm not kidding. He said, get a brick. And he said, get a brick, throw it in their glass, and jump on the interstate. This man told me that, a police officer. I was like, man, that man scared me so bad. I was even more scared. I was like, because I had never, I was shocked. I was like, I said, okay, man, I went home so fast. I was like, let me get out of here. All these folks crazy. But yeah, yep, that's a true story. That's what that man told me to do. And sometimes just if you would have heard this what this lady called me, like sometimes I would think back on that time and I would be like, I should have done that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be insulted like that for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You just waiting on a phone call from the payphone and she's like assuming that you're doing whatever she was thinking. But yeah, that's Fulton County for you. Fulton County. So yeah, join me at when I'm working, guys. I've been like going live when I'm working during the day. And really it's like between like mm, 12:30 to 12:30 to like 7ish, 7 something like that. Something like that. Yeah, be sure to join me. It's funny. I'm taking, I work out of the car, so I'm taking everybody on the road with me and going live just to show you what I do during the day and my experience and all that stuff. So be sure to join me.
But yeah, I'm hoping to get more information on what's going to happen with this Royce Reed thing. And I am following Atlanta Street Interviews because I really want to see what is going to come out of this story. What's going to happen? The story with the Tone situation, like, so when Tone, like, if he comes out and says, I want to speak the truth, which I don't think he'll do that, the alleged truth. Now, I don't know what's his truth, but if he comes out and says, I want to speak the truth, and says, that's my secret life, whatever, what is going to happen? And then he said that Ileana was aware. Excuse me. He said Ileana was aware. I don't think so. And then I've heard other people talk about she found out, like she must have found out, and that's why she tried to not try, she did stab him, but it's just, oh my God, it's a mess. It's just crazy stuff. And that's what I'm saying. Like, don't, that's what I'm saying. It's very dangerous. That is very dangerous. And I heard about a story, and I'm talking about getting involved in relationships with people and them not knowing your secrets. I heard about a situation where a person was, a female, a wife was killed because she caught her husband in the act, and you know he shot her. So yeah, that can be very dangerous. But yeah, 20% of gay men are married to women, with unknowing women. You know what I'm saying? Lavender marriages. 20% of gay men. So y'all get to know people, get to know people. And men, if you're gay, just, you don't want to, be showing, putting your business out there. That's fine. But just don't leading somebody on, and it's not really real. So that's my advice about that. But thank you so much for watching. And I think that I'm going to close my little segment out, and we're going to, these are the types of topics that we're going to be talking about and stuff like that. So make sure that you come back. Make sure that you subscribe and like all the time. Like, support the channel, because we're trying to build and build and build so we can have people on our panel. We can add more people on the panel, and have conversations, adult conversations. I'm still trying to work on our Saturday pajama jam. I still want to work on that. And I think that's going to be it for tonight. So thank you again for coming in, my TCG fam. Again, I am April. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I feel like I'm just doing all the talking. Nobody said anything. I don't know, what anybody's feeling or whatever. So, like, anybody have anything to say or add? Any questions about anything? Oh, you know what? Before we go, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Every time I play something, every time I play, except Atlanta Street Interview stuff, because I did write him and ask him if I can, like, do commentary on his videos, and he gave me permission to do so. So other than, like, playing his stuff, everything else that I've played in my lives, I've gotten copywritten, like, flags for it. So I'm not going to play anything else until I learn exactly what I can do and what I can't do. I don't know. I don't want to take chances. So, but what I was going to do, when you get off this live, go just look up Dwight Howard touches player inappropriately. If you haven't seen it already, just type in Dwight Howard touches player inappropriately, and you're going to see what I'm saying. And then, yeah, you'll see what I'm saying. And it's Sunday. Ooh, people probably getting ready for work tomorrow.
Yep. It's Sunday. Okay, so I am gonna head on out and I will see you all again tomorrow, hopefully. I'm gonna probably go live in the car, maybe about 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Have a great week. And be fulfilled with whatever you do. Be your best at whatever you do. All right. Peace.